And good evening, everybody. Welcome to an all-new Holotheatre. As always, I am Dan Tartaglione, also known as D-Tartag1. Joining me tonight, we currently have two out of the six members of Team USA, the Outrider Cup 3 champion team. So we have Brian Fred and Hayes Hunter. Thank you guys for coming on tonight and talking about. Oh, and now we have Mike Kessling. Mike joining us tonight as well. So thank you guys for coming on. Definitely, this is going to be a fun show. Like wrapping up the Outrider Cup, talking about like how you guys took down the third iteration of it, and because I really want to hear like from Mike and Brian in particular, because this was your first go around with the event as a whole. So, but thank you guys for coming
Hayes,
on.
did you play before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think Hayes has been on it every year, hasn't he?
No.
Last two at least, because I've got the foil Hayes Hunter Dash Rendar foil. I'm in possession of that.
Well, I think it was last time Hayes was on. I don't think you were on the first one, correct?
Correct.
And
But Kessling was here to 0-2 for us, so I had to do better. He took my job from last time.
I had one goal: make the Outrider Cup team. As soon as I lost my second game, I let the team know I didn't have any goals of winning Outrider Cup games.
I like how you had to bring it in that Mike went 0-2. Like,
I mean, I did my first time, so
that's true. And you kind of hate to be that guy who does go 0-2. But when you have players such as Brian Fred, who goes 2-0, and I think it was Joe who also went 2-0. I mean,
we'll take it.
But that's the thing. Like, it's a team. So I mean, there's no I in team.
I would agree with that too. I think that there was always going to be matchups where somebody had to take one for the team. Somebody was just going to get the Diplo versus Endor Ops match. But I couldn't tell you how I won that. But sometimes that's what it takes.
I think you kind of got, no offense, Brian, but I think you.
I got lucky. Oh yeah. For the life of me, I was trying to figure out. I haven't asked Kieran about it. I was trying to figure out if he forgot to swap for the command or if he had activated it. Is what I was trying to figure out, because I was wondering because he didn't swap at all. So I'm wondering if me playing my combat readiness or whatever it is and drawing a 0. Maybe I just totally threw him off because he was just like, what the heck is going on? And then he just forgot to swap. So that's the story I'm sticking with. The combat readiness 0 destiny draw just totally threw Kieran for a huge loop, and he was just done. He just blacked out the rest of the game.
So before we go really in depth into the Outrider Cup, let's go ahead and talk about what's going right now and a little bit into the future with Star Wars. First off the bat, we have the Jawa Cup still going on. We just had the top 8 matches. Those are all uploaded onto the YouTube. We currently have 3 out of the 4 top 4 matches already, or the games scheduled right now. Connor and Scott is tentatively scheduled for tomorrow night at 10:30 Eastern, whereas Jason and David are both scheduled. They're scheduled tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern, and then Game 2 is going to be immediately after Game 1. So, what are your guys' thoughts on like the whole the Jawa Cup? Like, I know there was definitely some really good first games. Like, I don't know if you guys really paid attention to it or anything. He's just shaking his head no.
I watched a little bit of whose game did I watch? I want to say David Woods, and who did David play?
Johnny Chu. I watched.
Yeah, Johnny. I watched the second.
I watched some of the second game because I gathered that David won based on some Slack chat, and I knew he had lost the first game by a significant amount. So I was curious to see what happened in that game. I watched some of Scott and which, before we get to that, it was a crazy game. It was David knows that trooper deck well, and like I also think he played really, really well for like the situation in the match. He didn't give himself like a chance to win by 15. He's like, if I'm going to win this game, I want to go for the match, and he played accordingly and like really put Johnny to the test. And I thought a lot of people in the situation he was in would have probably just given up. So I was impressed by his decision to play it out, and that he played in a way to actually give himself a chance, and it worked out. It was pretty cool.
I think it's surprised. It seemed like Johnny was pretty surprised too. So yeah, very well
Which-
played.
I will say
that's tough to
this.
do.
I talked to Johnny a little bit because I was playing Benji in the Retro League, and Johnny was he said it definitely stung, that loss. So
I mean, you have to say, like, going into the top 8, if you had to pick a favorite to win, I think most people would have picked Chu. So just upsetting him is a huge upset, and credit to David for how he played in the second game. I thought Jeremy and Scott's match went as I expected based on the matchups. I felt bad talking to Jeremy leading up to it. He was like, what game plan do I have here? And it was kind of a hope and a prayer situation for him, and it played out as we thought it might. And I watched bits and pieces of some of the other games. I saw the first match that it was a Thrawn mirror, basically. I watched a bit of that to see Stubley.
Oh yeah, I
think he
watched
beat
some of that
AJ.
too.
yes.
And I don't think I watched any of whatever the fourth matchup was.
That was Jason versus Jared Consker,
Apollyon versus
which
JJD.
was weird because I know Garrett and I streamed both those games. The first one was, I want to say it was Clones versus, and it was Clones. And we, Garrett and I were both like, okay, Clones is going to take this game. It has the advantage. He ended up losing with his clone deck. However, on the flip side, it was I think it was WAP or no Watto. It was Watto versus Clones, and then it was EBO versus Thrawn, and we're like, okay, EBO has the advantage here. You just have a ton of power up in space, whereas the Thrawn player actually won that game. So.
I want to say something really quick about the Clones deck. You know, you think that the Clones had the advantage and stuff. I've seen a lot of people playing Clones since Hayes played it in Outrider, and people don't play it as well as Hayes does. So a lot of people are just trying to pick up Clones right now and play it, and that's why. I mean, if Hayes was playing the Clones, I'm sure that it would have been a demolishing instead of a loss or whatever it was. But I mean, that's what I see with a lot of the Clones going on right now.
Yeah. As somebody who's tried Clones out in the OCS, yeah, the Clones deck is just. There needs to be like a tutorial on the Clones deck because he's just definitely shaking his head like he's like, okay, not yet, maybe after Worlds.
Hayes
maybe
doesn't
after...
make primers.
Now the other big event that's currently going on is, of course, the Gem PC, the 8th annual Batmouse Gem PC. Checking up on that, we have Joe Olsen versus Ed Sheehan. They are in the round of 32. Kuhn is waiting for Connor versus Sean Weingold. Moving on down the line, Matt Harrison Trainer faces off against Rich Kraft. Tom Kelly versus AJ. Drew upsetted by Carl. Jared Napolitano facing Kyle Aldred. Cedric plays Martin DeBoeuf. Nathan Russell taking down Chris Gogolin and then Garrett to advance to the round of 32.
That was fairly impressive.
Yeah, those games were really impressive. But I will say this, Garrett played like... I'm not going to go any further. Brad Kipple waiting on Justin Branch or William Rebel CPA. Bachelor. Greg Shaw faces off against Brandon Beatty. JC Smith won over Chris Kelly. Timo Dussel will face off against Dennis Reinhardt. Mike, as the number 2 seed, you face off against Wayne Cullen. Ryan Jelson will face off against Bill Kafer. B. Fred, you get to face Scott. How do you feel about that match?
I was going to say when Mike was talking about the Jeremy versus Scott match, and he's like, didn't know how to help Jeremy or like what they can really do. I mean, I'm in the same boat now. It's just like, you know what deck Scott favors, but then he goes away from the musicians and he's been playing the Tatooine CPV deck.
Yeah.
That I guess he beat Matt Wadden in like turn 3 or 4, and Matt Wadden didn't even play the second game because I tried to ask Matt about it. He's just like, yeah, he lateral damaged me and beat me down. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, that's a lot of info for me. Thanks, Matt.
I hear
the difference here, though, is you get to choose any decks you want. Yeah. Jeremy had to submit his decks and had to set a random pairing against Scott. It's very different.
So the Lord might be able to get me out of this one, but I was pretty sure Jeremy was,
He was, up a creek without a paddle.
He wasn't the king of this island. My island. Okay.
We have Sam Tashima versus Ryan Saracen, Jeff Levine versus Daniel Amore, Charlie
That'll be a good
Arlinson
game.
versus David Woods. They will face off. The winner of
That'll
that
be a good
match
game,
will
too.
face Chris Werfs. Batmouse is waiting on Michael Pistone versus Jared Konsker, and then Logan Patigue will face off against Azim Watt Crypto, our 22 seed.
Yeah, Logan has got some nice
Yeah.
upsets there too.
There's some really interesting matchups in that round of 32. I
Yeah.
look forward to
Oh, yeah.
hopefully seeing some of those while I'm working on GEMP. And if people are available to stream, I encourage you to stream because I think that sounds like an awesome round.
Yeah.
I was thinking about like asking anybody if they wanted like once I find out when Scott wants to play, if anybody wanted to stream our games.
Yeah,
Could that be-
as long as there's somebody available, we are more than willing to stream. So if you guys just let us know, I know the stream team is definitely willing to stream a lot of the games. Again, once the games get to the top 8, we're definitely going to stream those games. So be on the lookout for those.
If I can get by Scott, I theoretically could play teammates the entire rest of the way because I think I would have possibly Sam and then Mike in the next 2 rounds. I looked ahead a little bit and I was just like,
So,
wow, it
If
doesn't
that happens,
get
I'm
any
back in
easier.
the finals, baby.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mike's in, man. I'm gonna play hidden base speeders and God, I don't even know what the other deck I played that time was. Oh, was it OA? I don't even remember. It doesn't matter. I'll flip a coin. I'll be like, Mike, pick my decks. It doesn't matter.
Hey, I mean, having somebody pick your decks for you actually works. I did that with against
Sometimes it does.
Large Porg, and yeah. But Brian Fred,
I should do that with Scott.
Yeah, do that.
I already
Brian,
know what I'm playing. I already know what I'm playing against Scott, though.
what
And
is
I'm
it?
not gonna say any. I'm not
you're
gonna
no
make any
fun.
more comments. I don't want to
Brian,
give Scott any idea.
Brian, you are currently the only 12-0 in the OCS. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's nice to be 12-0 and stuff, but when your win percent isn't, your opponent's strength of schedule isn't in the 50-ish, and you know you still have a few, I don't want to say bad players, but players that, you know, could lose more games. It's nerve-wracking because, I mean, I think there's probably a 2 or 3 people still that could pass me that I would be worried about. But I mean, there's 8 days left or something, 7-8 days, just having to sit back and wait. And it was especially nice that Drew made a comment in our team chat. He's like, hey, the last time I went 12-0, guess what happened? I didn't qualify that month when I was the first person. I was like, thanks, Drew. I was like, that was super.
I'm sure
nice
that's
comment of
exactly.
you.
I'm sure that's exactly how Drew said it.
That's pretty. I mean, that's
It's
Mike.
pretty close.
He's like, I don't want to. He started off with, I don't want to jinx Brian, so he threw the disclaimer in before he went into it, and I was just
The
like,
anti-jinx jinx.
exactly. I was just like, I was like, all right, I'm just hoping for the best, basically. But it is a little nerve-wracking when you have to sit there and wait.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love Justin Branch to death, but him losing today, takes a little bit of the edge off because now the people, unless Kipple can 12, I'm like 10% points higher than Kipple, and the other people I think would pass me would be teammates. So I mean, if Charlie, Greg, and MHT, finish 12-0 with higher percent than me, it's just like, how could I be mad about that?
Brian
means I have to
Fred, the Miami Dolphins.
Exactly. That's what I used the analogy
did.
in our chat. I told
No,
somebody
that was against me. That was on me.
Well, I did it to 2 people because I
Oh.
think Draylock congratulated me in our team chat, and I was just like,
You have
yeah. He's
Drawlick
like,
in
now
your
I feel like the
Drawlick
72
is on your
Dolphins.
team.
Huh?
Jaron Waters is on your
isn't?
team.
Yeah.
How is
like
everybody
what
on your
said.
team?
It's all the people that we like the most. That's why Hayes and you aren't on our team. That's a joke.
Oh,
That's a joke.
But
Hayes already was on a team. We can't just take Hayes away from Team 5.
that's fair.
He wouldn't leave anyways.
I don't know.
Hayes,
You
Hayes,
guys,
I know Hayes is a loyal guy like me, so.
But speaking of looking on down the lines, we were just talking about this. Casey is currently in second place at 11-1. Tom Kelly and Timo both sitting there at 10-2. Looking on down the line, Matt Harrison Trainer currently sitting there at 8-0, but his win percentage is 42, so he's actually lower than you, B. Fred. And then continuing on down the line, Brad Kipple sitting there at 5-0. And I think that looks like that's all pretty much it.
Charlie is
2-0.
2-0 and Greg is 1-0. But I mean, knowing Greg and Charlie both and how good they are, easily either one of them.
Well, I mean,
could go on
Ryan
the run.
Saracen's also 1-0.
I mean, I love Ryan too, but if I had to put money on him or Greg going 11, going 11-0 run, I would certainly put. I mean, I know Ryan can, but I'm not. I wouldn't be as worried.
In 7 days?
Yeah, you never know. I mean,
yeah.
didn't Emil go 12-0 in like 1 day or 2 days one year?
I think Charlie did something like that too.
I know Emil
Yeah.
had like, it was like either 1 or 2 days, one of the first OCSs.
Okay, so Brian, the next thing that we got to talk about really quick is you're hosting the next major, which is the 2024 Indianapolis Eclipse Open. That again,
I told him Dallas when they asked me. Full disclosure.
That is the weekend of April 5th, 6th, and 7th. The deadline to pre-register, of course, is Tuesday, March 26th. So if you're going and you want to get in there, pre-register so that way you guys can get some good prizes.
I believe all 4 of us on this show will be in attendance.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I have yet to pre-register, but I will be doing that soon. Friday, again, is going to be the Stink Bug Soiree.
I might play in that, honestly.
I'm going to play in that, too. Just because
it sounds funny.
Saturday is the
my
main...
deck's ready, I'll play.
Saturday is the main event. Sunday is the top 8. And then Sunday, of course, is a Jawa consolation. So if you don't make the top 8, you can play in a Jawa Cup. And I do hear that the Jawa list will be updated in time before that. So you don't have to just play Hitco, Thrawn, and all the other stuff that all you see is on Jawa.
The way the meta is right now, it almost doesn't even seem like there needs to be a ban list. I mean, it used to be like Rops, when Rops was like the stupidest deck ever, but
I mean, there's few decks I would ban.
They could adjust it a little, I guess.
Like, I would adjust it, yeah. And
I would argue the opposite. Like, I think Jawa is actually somewhat valuable right now because there are so many good decks. It's interesting to see what happens when some of the good decks aren't available. People are incentivized to play different decks. But there are a lot of viable Jawa decks that are good in Open, is what I would say. So I think it's actually kind of interesting to see what's doing well there.
Like, look at
and it makes people. Sorry,
I was gonna say,
and it makes people realize those decks are viable again. Sorry, Dan.
No, you're good. But right now there are 14 players who are currently registered. The only people who on this show are not registered yet are myself and Mike Kessling. You probably are registered, and Chris Gogolin has not updated the list yet.
Maybe. I think I registered, but
he's got a plane ticket.
That's the important part.
Oh yeah, I have a plane ticket and hotel room. I thought I registered, so if I hadn't, I should remedy that.
I don't have a plane ticket, but I got a hotel room. And then just announced recently the European Championships will be the weekend of May 18th out in Denmark for the first time ever. So that's a big deal, as Tomas is going to be hosting that. And then the following day on May 19th is going to be the Tula Regional. So get out there, play some Star Wars CCG out in Denmark.
And European Super Weekend. It sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I was just say I'm definitely sad that I won't be able to make that one, but I will be at Worlds. So
I think all of us
had to pick.
Are trying to go to Worlds. I know there's a few who have talked about getting their plane tickets and stuff already.
Already purchased.
I've got my flight there, but not back yet. I'm seeing what's going to happen. And I think Kessling is he's waiting on a sneeze to see.
I'm a game tied decision. We'll see what
sneeze time.
I need to look at flights and see like what everybody's doing, because I don't want to just go over to Europe and be like all by myself. I want to hang out with like the cool people, like not Brian Fred.
That's okay.
No,
I've got Worfs. So
yeah, that's what I want to be a part of the ice cream crew.
Well, Cedric already told me he was treating me to ice cream in Belgium, so pretty excited about that. Love you, Ced.
And then coming up, we have there's going to be a 20th anniversary for the Phantom Menace. More details are going to be coming up to that soon.
Now this is pod racing.
Okay. We also have a 2024 online retro event for charity. Again, details on that coming soon as well. And then, as we were just alluding to, Worlds is going to be over in Bochum, Germany, September 19th through the 22nd. Get out there, go to that. It is going to be a blast. I know a lot of people are definitely looking forward to it. Like the amount of people who are talking it up, saying that they're going to go, like definitely.
If you haven't been to one of the other ones, it's just being able to spend time with other European players and like just stuff that you don't normally get a chance to do. I can't recommend it more. Great community over there.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know our community in the U.S., but just as good there, except they can drink any of us under the table.
Yeah. That is going to be an experience. Just that, probably beer wars, all the other stuff that goes on. Like,
I wish like Mike could reenact the Jan Westergaard tab.
Oh, there's a story. What's the story?
It's not Holotheatre appropriate.
Okay. Maybe when we do Mike on his own show for Kessling Run, we'll get.
Yeah, where is the Kessling Run, Mike?
I broke it, and I apologize.
I would say that Jeremy has limited availability to work on both coding GIMP and editing the podcast, and I sent him a message asking to help editing. I should remind him that I sent this, but unfortunately, Matt Brenderlin already took a first pass at editing Brian Fred's episode, and we're down to over 8 hours. So I think he just broke Jeremy.
Maybe it should just be 4 parts. It should just be or 8 parts.
So
8 hours.
As a teaser, is this like 8 hours of just, is that what's usable, or is that just like everything?
Nonsense.
No, that was like stitching everything together and culling out a lot of things, is my understanding. So that's like 8.5 hours of content that would probably be culled down to like maybe, I don't know, 7, depending on how much we were breaking on stuff. It took 3 or 4 nights of recording to record everything.
I think it was 4.
Well, I know a lot of people are excited to hear that episode.
It's going to be like the Lost to Time. Who knows? At some point, it will have to be released. The bootleg DVD of the Kessling Run, I guess.
Is there a better chance of getting this or the Star Wars documentary?
I was thinking,
or is that we're not talking about that?
No, we can talk about it.
I don't want to put Brandon Beatty on the spot on Holotheatre, but
I mean, if it's in the vault, it's in the vault, right? I mean,
dude, I just want to see all of it. Don't even make a movie. Just release the stuff you got, man. I just want to see Brian Hunter interviews in his element. Warren Holland interviews. Come on, let's just release it all. I mean,
Brian,
I guarantee everybody else is with me on this.
I think everybody is at this point.
I just want to get footage. Scotland Grill talking about all the times we almost killed people driving. I want to hear it all, man.
Someone who shan't be named did mention to me this week how good they both looked and sounded in the trailer they saw of the editing from this movie. So I'm optimistic we'll get to see it at some point. But I would bet on the podcast, because worst case scenario, I might just say to Jeremy, let's just put the files out as they are. Like, it's a free podcast. Who cares?
Well,
I mean, Hayes drives a lot. You know, he what? How long of a drive was it to Atlanta? You said.
Oh,
like,
jeez.
Yeah.
To Atlanta wasn't the problem.
What it should
weather,
be and what
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
are also very different.
Yeah.
He's
It
like,
should
if
be
you
about
would have
3.5,
just
4.
put out the B. Fred Kessling Run that time,
I could have listened to it twice the same day, in the same sitting.
I mean, as somebody who's driven across country and listened to just nothing but like the podcast, like I listened to the Kessling Run, I listened to Kendall's stuff. We need more of that, because driving sucks as it is. And just to make something a little bit better, like I would definitely like to listen to an all-day B. Fred podcast.
It's a 6-hour drive to my dad's house. I would almost consider listening to myself on the podcast, because I don't remember half the stuff I said.
We did record it. We're going on at least 10 months ago. So it's been.
Oh, wow.
We've been 10 months without the Kessling Run. That's sad.
I hope to rectify that this year, I will say.
I was gonna say, let's just release it in like 4 parts. It'll make it a little bit more tolerable, I guess.
Speaking of podcasts, just throw this out there. Kendall, myself, Batmouse, and Scott recently did a new episode of the Top 8, and that one's definitely going to be a lot of fun. So once Kindle's done,
It's not out yet though.
No, it's not.
It's
out
coming
yet.
up.
Yeah, we just did that on Tuesday, and spoiler alert: we learned that Scott really did break the game back in the day when he was a tester for certain cards.
Give me one sec.
So, but we're not here to talk about Scott. We're not here to talk about any of the podcasts. Let's go into a little bit more detail with the Outrider Cup. So, as we mentioned this a little bit earlier ago, Brian, Fred, and Mike, this was your first time in the Outrider Cup. I know, Hayes, you were on it for the last one. How does it feel winning this for Team USA a second time? We'll start with Hayes, as, again, you're the...
We didn't win last time, did we?
No, you
second
guys won
US
it on the
win,
first
he
one.
means.
So, but I mean, this is your second time in it. So right now, USA has a lead, essentially 2-1 over Team Europe.
Fine. That's good.
I
He
feel
went
like
out there and he
everyone in
gave
the
I really don't enjoy playing on Gamp. I mean, I'm all about the let's meet in the middle. Let's do when you book through, what is it, Iceland?
Mm-hmm.
You can do like they let you do a stopgap trip thing, like deliberately. Like that'd be super sweet if we all
I'd be in.
went to Iceland or something. That sounds way more fun than
That sounds
playing
Yeah.
two
really
games on the
really-
internet.
That sounds
I mean,
amazing.
I would love to play in a room where we're all just like, everybody's in a glacier, you know, everybody's just sitting around chilling.
We don't even have to leave the airport.
Literally
We can
chilling. Sorry.
I mean, you got to leave the airport. The airports are no fun.
Yeah, no.
After the games.
But it was for me it was just fun working with new allies and with Justin Desai, instead of working against him. It was nice change of pace, and I think
Agreed.
everybody kind of enjoyed working the process together and sharing feedback. It's challenging when you work with people that you don't normally. It can be a little bit, and we all have different schedules and different styles, and it was just fun to see everything mesh together. And
half the team wasn't used to dealing with how Brian Fred uses Slack, and that you need to interpret typos liberally, and just how he will interact on the internet. And so, yeah, Greg and I knew what we were getting ourselves into. But Hayes, Justin, and Joe, they were in for a rude awakening.
So how was it interacting with Brian Fred on Slack? Because I mean, as somebody who is like seeing how he's on Slack, like, is that normal? Like, is that Brian Fred, like, as a normal person?
I mean, have you met Brian Fred before? Like,
Yeah, a few times.
he's no different
What you
on
see
Slack.
is what you get.
Yes.
Sorry,
Now,
I interrupted you, Hayes. I just felt like when
If
you
there's one
glossed
thing
over
people
the us
can't
working
say-
together part.
Yeah.
There's one thing people can't say about me is that I'm fake.
You did
Unless this whole thing is an act.
now.
Which could be.
You are disappointing me, Brian, because earlier, I think it was like earlier this week or late last week, you said that you were going to be coming out to the Pittsburgh event this Saturday, and now you said that you're not. Why not?
It's, for one, I don't really care to play Cube, and it's just like hard to get away so many weekends, and just be like gone and stuff. When I mean, there's a lot of stuff I have to do and everything. So, and I had a league event scheduled here, which I would have had to cancel, and it turned out there was multiple people that like messaged me and were like, "Hey, I'm gonna come," and I was like, "Oh, all right." So I had intended to, but just like
I will pay your
it's
entrance
tough.
fee. I'll let you crash on my couch. If you to
like,
get
the
you out
entrance
here,
fee.
I'll buy your dinner.
Maybe another time.
I'll buy
Maybe
you dinner.
it was like what, 2 weeks ago maybe. I mean, the play, it was just like sort of like, hey, I want to do this, and I was like, oh man, that's
Yeah.
All
Disappointing.
right, so back to Outrider Cup.
Yes, please. Brian's just distracting us. For mostly me.
Well, hey, I interrupted Hayes, so I was going to let him finish.
I'm good. I mean, the other cool thing about it, I'm just looking at the matchups, is that I think there was only like one or two decks that was duplicated. That's really impressive. I mean, obviously the format itself forces some diversity, but you'd really expect there to be sort of mirror images. And the fact that that wasn't the case was encouraging. We were just talking about the merits of Jawa Cup and how diverse things are. I mean, I think that's a salute to design, just because right now there is nothing that is like tier 1.5 right now, period. I know people like to give a lot of crap about the errata and stuff, but I mean, I think this is sort of the end result, the goal. If you tweak a little bit, it's yes, it's annoying cutting out slips or whatever, and it's if somebody comes back and they've missed out. I mean, I'm not saying there's not negatives, but the fact that there is no deck that is, you know, tier zero point 0.5 or whatever. There's a whole lot that's in that 1.5 to 2.5 range, and I mean, if you can get away playing clones, I mean, that says something about the state of the game right now. It's crazy how lots of stuff works. So it was just a lot of fun. I love the Europeans. We were talking about Worlds. I didn't say it before, but I think everybody knows I'm on record as saying that's my 2019 Worlds is my favorite tournament ever experience all time, and
Same.
I've done a lot of tournaments, not just for Star Wars but other games. It's the best, and I can't wait to get back. And it was a pleasure to play against them. It was they're just excellent, and yeah, my hats off to them.
Okay, so
Now you can go ahead, Kessling.
I was going to say because like now Mike and Brian as the rookies for Team USA, how was it? How was the experience for you guys?
You want to
For
start? Mike?
me, I mean, I had set an open goal 2 years ago. Like my goal is to make the Outrider Cup team, so I was very pleased that I was able to accomplish that. I thought the way we went about our deck selection was interesting. Like Hayes created a spreadsheet, and we all posted which decks we felt like we would be comfortable playing, and then if we had a preference for each side. And things shook out to where like pretty much everyone got the deck they preferred. And then it was a lot of discussion on like posting lists. Here's what I think. Are there things you would tweak? Once the matchups were posted, we talked about who we thought was favored, lines, things like that. So overall, it was just like it was a super fun experience. I think for being a quote unquote like important event, it had much more of just a relaxed. We're here to have fun. And the Europeans, I think, embraced that too. And everybody who made the team, is a good player. So sometimes matchups are going to dictate how things go. Sometimes luck is going to dictate some things. And so it was just the way the event unfolded too was super exciting. Like we started off okay, we gave up a loss, and then we went on a big run, and then I played and we went on a bad run, and then eventually like it was head to head, and it's going into Brian's game, and he pulled one out, and then it's like the last game is either to push it to a tiebreaker or for all the marbles. Like you can't ask for a better finish than that.
No.
And I was at a wedding when Hayes was playing, and legitimately I was sitting there. Brian Fred is texting me like every 2 minutes what's happening in the game, and Jen, my wife, started elbowing me like, "Stop looking at your watch!" Like we're during the ceremony is happening. I'm just like scrolling through my watch. I wanted to know what's happening. So I was sad that I got to miss the finals, but it was a super fun feeling to hear that Hayes pulled it out, and so just it was an absolute pleasure to make it on the team and to work with everybody.
And Brian, what about you? How was it? How was the experience for you?
Well, I definitely. It was just cool to make the team because I wasn't really ever expecting to make the team. I mean, not this last year, but the year before, I had a really good run of top fours and stuff, and then I just didn't really. I didn't play OCS either year, and I missed a couple events, and then I guess at Worlds getting top four at Worlds. I mean, not only was like it ended a huge Worlds drought for me, but I guess it gave me enough points to make the team, which I wasn't even thinking about until somebody, I can't remember who it was, came up to me like before Endor, said something to me about me getting the 5th spot. And I was like, really? I was like, all right. And then like, I just, as a little bit of a sweat, we tried to see if there's any way we could get Greg on the team to tie me for the 5th spot. And then he ended up being our, the person who made the team anyways. And so once I actually got on the team, it's just like, I was just like there for the whole like process. Like I just wanted to take it all in, because I mean, Mike knows more than like maybe Hayes or anybody, but I mean, I'm a team player through and through, and I just want to
Yeah,
do
you
whatever.
wouldn't
I can
you
for
wouldn't
the
pick any
team.
decks. You were like allergic to deck selection.
No, it's just what I want going in. I wanted to make sure that the four of you, before we had our for sure captain's pick, I wanted you guys to have the decks that you were going to be good with. Because it's sort of like, I was going to set, because like, I knew Mike would like, the decks I was comfortable with were ISB and Yoda, but I know that Mike, has played more with them and is,
Look how that turned
more,
out. You see,
Played out. I'm so glad I played them.
You should have been.
But I mean, but the fact that Mike did play those and lost put me on the 2 decks that did win the 2 games for us.
There's a good
like,
point.
It's just like
So
a
pretty much, I
trade-off,
won the event for us. Ace. That's what
It's basically he did. And the thing is, for one, I wasn't as excited. Usually, I like people that know me or my teammates know that I take a lull after Worlds, where I'm not that into it. And I was like, okay, well, I was like, I know TTO pretty well. I think this is a format where nobody is going to have relatively unprotected, or what chance do they have in their deck for the 1 in 6 chance that somebody on their team does pick TTO. I know I've grinded with that deck so many times that I know that it can beat most any deck besides Old Allies, usually. And, but they're always going to be close, but it's going to win. So I was like, I felt, comfortable with just choosing that as a deck. And somebody early on said something, they were just like, you could just play Diplo. And I was just like, I didn't feel great about it, but like, since I was in my lull, I was just like, whatever. If they think I should play Diplo, if I lose, then it's like, we never expected me to win with Diplo, But and then I got paired against Endor Option. We definitely never expected me to beat anything with Diplo, and then stuff happens.
That's why you play the game. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. So what I enjoyed about it was like the process, because we went through like 7 or 8 Imperial Entanglement decks and versions before we scrapped that and said it was no good. And just like seeing other people's, like, your non-teammates' thoughts, seeing their way of preparing for events and everything versus how you were preparing for events. It's just, the entire process was just great. And
it was eye-opening to know everyone has bad ideas.
Yeah. me more than most, but sometimes the bad ideas turn out okay.
I mean, your bad ideas went 2-0 in the event, so are they really that bad of an idea?
Well, I mean, in hindsight, if you win, they couldn't have been bad ideas, right? They had to have been brilliant.
There's no flaw in that thought process at all.
So we were talking about this, like, you guys working together, the fact that, like, there was three new allies, 2 Team 5, and 1 KTOD going on the team. Have you guys taken anything, like, from this experience and used it in your teams now? Like, have you guys, like, utilized some of the stuff that, like, Hayes and Joe were talking about? And, like, Hayes, have you taken anything from, like, the new allies and obviously Desai?
I mean, I definitely have everybody's deck lists that were posted saved off to the side in case we want to practice against them.
I also have a catalog of decks that were posted, and I was like, I'm pretty sure we're all doing the same thing, where it's like, am I comfortable showing this or not?
It was definitely weird with Atlanta coming up right after, or Atlanta. That scheduling was weird,
Basically
and then
during.
it was we locked into decks and stuff before the privacy disclaimer was made, and that's kind of why I wanted to play clones, and that's why I also didn't really care what I played, because I'm like, whatever I play, I'm just not gonna volunteer when I'm playing in Atlanta. And Joe's like, I don't care, we'll just play whatever. And then of course the veil of secrecy was imposed, so there was like no actual conflict.
That was
but at the same time, you still had to like temper. I mean, what you were sharing, and being cognizant of the fact that all these people that we're talking strategy with, I'm about to play against in like a week or something, because we had to decide our decks before the first week of January, and then the Atlanta event was like the second week of January. So like all the strategizing occurred regardless of the veil of secrecy on the Atlanta list. It was still just weird with that. So
it was highly amusing to me. Brian and I were playing like round 6 maybe of the Atlanta event, and I was playing the Hiko deck that I was playing, and he had Thrawn, and Joe came up and was watching from it, and he was like, I don't know how to feel about the fact that neither of you are playing your Outrider Cup decks.
And it's funny, like, you guys were worried about that going into Atlanta, and Jeff
Oh,
Levine,
I
who,
just played enough with Yoda between the time that I was like,
Mhm.
I've already submitted it for Outrider Cup. This probably is going to be a loss. I'm not playing it in Atlanta. Like I gave up
Yeah.
on it pretty quickly into
I mean,
playtesting.
I've been off Diplo since day one World, so I was just like, I don't think I need to play test this deck any. So I mean, I'll take what comes is basically what I
Mhm.
decided on. And TTO isn't a real fun deck to play. I mean, it's pretty linear. It has its lines, and then you just adapt to what your opponent gives you. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I played TTO in the first 2 games of OCS as well, and squeaked out 2 wins before I was like, I don't want to play TTO anymore. The best part, though, sorry, this isn't about Outrider, but I played against BSF, and two funny things. For one, I never considered what his initials went for, and I played Baron Sunterfell. He's like, "Hey, it's me," and I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it." And the other part was he lost relatively unprotected off the top of his deck, and I was just like, "Sweet." And then the very next turn, he played another one from hand, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "He had two relatively unprotected." So yeah. Anyways, back on track.
I mean, I don't know. I like
I was
hearing about
very
that.
surprised.
I mean, you're turning Mike red.
That's hysterical. I was
Yeah.
not that went a turn I was not expecting.
So I mean, we talked about like the TTO and the Diplo. Like there was a little bit of supplies. Hayes, like out of the Team USA decks, like I could see like all of them. What made you go with clones?
Clones is good. It's does not play how you think it's supposed to play. It's just after it was released, it didn't see the light of day so much because for us, Obi Muning was just better.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that I really thought there was something there. I was actually playing a list version that was based off of MHTs from it could have even been an iteration from playtesting. I don't know. All I know is that my deck title is MHT clones in Gemp. Um, but there was no reason to ever play it because OB Muning was just
Yeah.
so good. Like, why would you not play the deck that's at the top of the pyramid? But
Because Diplo.
yeah. But before Worlds, absolutely, I had the most reps with clones, and I'm like, this is good. It's just not, it's high variance. So
Mm-hmm.
for a 1 game sample size, I was like, roll the dice, it's fine. Um, but yeah, I enjoy playing with it. It's fun because I like my Star Wars battles. I hope that I had the most Star Wars battles out of anybody in the Outrider Cup. But oh, I
I don't
definitely
remember.
did. When you add up all the battles that Kuhn ran away from,
Oh
there's
man, those
yeah.
count. Those
So
count, even if they get canceled.
I am positive I had the most Star Wars battles in the Outrider Cup.
You had the most battles canceled too.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Shadow Collector versus 0 Hour. Yeah, I can see that with
yeah.
him.
That was uphill for sure. But no, nobody knows how to play against clones. Well, also nobody knows how to play with clones apparently.
Yes,
A
both true.
lot
I
of the
think.
European players at the Outrider regional played lists that were similar, and they all changed terrible cards. Like they took out a lightsaber. Everyone made like one card choice that was incorrect, but they went like a combined like 1 in 9 or something. It was awful. Three people played my list, and I think they got one win out of it. So
So you're
it's
saying they would have been better off playing Diplo.
probably because that deck, like you know what it's supposed to do. Everybody plays clones oddly. It's like it doesn't play like a normal deck because it's not a normal deck.
If
No.
I was going to play clones, I would just do it. I would just be like, you know what? I saw Hayes put down at least a Jedi, a clone, and some weapons, at least minimum in battle each time. I was like, I will start there. They put something down, I will
Mm-hmm.
throw down that stuff in battle. They go to a different site, I will throw down stuff there in battle. I was like, I would just try and play it as close to Hayes as, yeah.
To be fair, listening to that, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, I watched those replays. He just played a guy and a clone and maybe another clone, and then he battled, and then they happened again.
Yeah, it's like a couple weapons, cycled the guy in the weapon, kept the Jedi.
It didn't seem super nuanced watching the replays. I will say that.
I know the thing I thought was the neatest about that too was like Hayes like literally locked in clones. It was the first deck locked in.
Yeah.
Like he just told the team he's like, He's like, I'm
I've
playing.
made a
I'd
spreadsheet,
like to hear
and by the
Keslin's
way, I'm playing clones. That's actually how it works.
Yes,
Like, the spreadsheet is
I
here,
want
and
to,
I'm playing clones.
I want to hear Kessling's take on this, because when Hayes said that, I was just like, oh, Hayes is just like just gonna have fun. He doesn't care. This is the first thing I thought was like clones. I was like, okay,
I
but I
thought
mean it's
the
Hayes, so I'm
exact
not gonna
opposite.
argue.
No, because Sam had played a lot of clones leading up to Worlds, and I had played against it and whatnot, and I was like, this deck does seem like it has some power. It's very hard to fight on the ground. It has punch. And I actually thought Hayes is probably playing something else in Atlanta, doesn't want us to know, and is comfortable saying I think clones is good. And he just pretty much confirmed that a little bit ago. So, and I was like, I'm also not going to argue with him, because if he gets the right matchup, which could be probably 4 of the 6 decks Europe is playing, I think clones is going to win.
And I mean, Hayes' track record in the last year, I was just like, if Hayes says he's playing clones, it's just like,
who am I
Hayes, I mean, that's why I never thought anything of it until it got to the point where we were the last 2 games. And like, then he showed me the 2 replays of him versus Treadwell, Jeff Levine, the night before. And like, I remember going from being worried to just being like, holy crap. I was like, because like Jeff knows Agents of the Black Sun as good as anybody. He's been playing it for like 2 years straight and had really good showings with us. It's like, and Hayes is just demolishing him. I was like, okay. I really, the confidence, I just started feeling really good about it then.
I felt
like,
less bad that I was going to be at the wedding.
Yeah, I was like, shit, now I need to win. Like, Hayes has got this under control. If I can get us to 6 and 5, Hayes can bring it home, you know?
And then when you were texting me updates, the way it was sounding at times, I was like, oh, I'm more concerned. Emil's doing things Jeff didn't do. This is happening.
Yes.
Blah, blah. Hayes isn't killing an undercover spy. I was like, he must have a plan. So I was just like, in Hayes, I trust. And I just eventually...
I held that quite a mercenary all game.
Oh, yeah.
All game. Opening hand, quite a mercenary. Just sat there.
This is what I want players that are like up and coming or trying to get to that point where they're like breaking through from being good to really good. It's patience in Star Wars. Like you saw, like most players, and Hayes can agree with me here. I guarantee most players would just broken that spy's undercover and started trying to drain. But Hayes had the freaking the discipline to wait it out. And like, there's been games that I won beating Jeff at Seattle when I was CCT and he was Yoda muting Imbats. I had in my opening hand first strike. And I just waited and kept, and like, even though he was just like destroying me, I just kept first strike in my hand the whole time, knowing that if there was a chance for me to win the game, it was going to be him leaving himself open. And he did. And I overflowed his Anakin for like 8 force, like this, one of the last 2 turns of the game, because I kept a card in my hand the entire time that most people would have just thrown away to the first or second force drain because they were never getting good battles. They were getting destroyed. You know, it's just patience is a lot of the times what it is.
First strike is absolutely the best example of that. Too many people play it too early because they're going to initiate one battle and they don't realize the board state. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you can hold first strike in your hand for the first 4 or 5 turns of the game by choice and then realize the moment, that's absolutely a great example.
I'd say that first strike and then your 2/2 sites when you guys are playing your battle planes or your any of those sites that you can pull into your hand. Like you see so many games where let's see, Hitco, for instance, is just battling at your opponent's sites. And they're just like, well, I don't need my 2/2 site because I'm just going to be battling here the whole time. So they just throw it off to their first drain, or they just throw their downtown plaza off to the first drain. And what happens? Something bad happens. And then they take over the sites, and you're just like, now what do I do? I threw my 2/2 site away 10 turns ago, when now I'm ahead, but I'm ahead in damage and force, but now they've taken board control. If you kept that 2/2 site, it changes everything.
So if you've enjoyed this snippet of Star Wars CCG theory from Brian Fred, I encourage you to sign up for his forthcoming podcast.
It's in production, just like the Kesslinger run. No. Actually, that's a really good... I actually like that, and I'm glad that you brought that topic up. As a player who needs to learn patience and wants to get better, like, I can attest to that. Like, I have made a ton of mistakes recently, like playing against Joe. But that's besides the point. Yeah, Hayes knows. Like, you obviously saw that game in a replay, I'm assuming.
What?
The Joe versus me.
Oh, he sent. Are you? If you're talking about the
Shadow,
game
yeah,
where you were speeders,
yeah.
Dan sent me a replay where
Oh,
he
I
was
did see
speeders
that
against.
game.
Yeah, Dan sent me a replay, and as soon as he put down Luke
On turn
Cornhorn
one.
and battled into the stack, and like the way that I just stopped watching after that. I was just like, you know what I would have done? I would have put down my Cornhorn and I would have slid right over to the 1-1 site and just ate all the damage for that drain one turn, and then better off the entire rest of the game because of it.
Yeah, that's you
might
what I'm
have
saying.
still,
Learn from
you
my
might have
mistakes.
still, and this is that. Remember, Justin said to us, and hey, you both remember this. He's like, I hope when I play Cedric, when he plays down his Maul against my Luke, that I don't lose on turn 2. You know, I hope that basically he foretold what exactly happened in his game with Cedric. Maul came down second turn. Justin had enough tricks, survived, and then the game went his way. You know, you can certainly lose games on the second turn by doing plays like that. I mean, we've all done it. I've done it. Everybody's done it at one point. You got to just realize that, hey,
He's just like,
sometimes you got to eat the proverbial poop to, to win the game.
That's a good point. So
yeah, you definitely lost that game on turn 2 when you could have just moved over, ate a drain of 4 and a point of damage, and gone about your business the turn after.
So, Hayes, how did it feel going into the last game and all that kind of pressure on you to essentially win it or go to a tiebreaker?
There's no pressure. I mean, if I lost, I had no pressure because if I lost, it would just be Desai playing another game or whoever he picked. I don't know how the tiebreakers work, but
yeah,
all I knew is that I couldn't.
Me.
I couldn't.
Yeah, he said he was going to pick Brian.
I hope that was a joke, but sorry
no,
for
I think
interrupting.
he did say that. Actually,
I think he was being serious. You won
Justin
2
decided
games, we
really
didn't
doesn't
expect
joke.
you to win.
Yeah.
I think he was seriously saying you were in this position because of you. We have faith in you.
Yeah.
But sorry,
I knew
Hayes,
I couldn't do any worse than Mike Kessling, so I had no pressure.
I wrote Justin a strongly worded letter of recommendation for anyone but myself. No, I mean,
but it was fine.
And Hayes still would have had the record for most battles and most battles being canceled. So he would still have that over Kessler.
That's right. That's all I wanted.
So like Kessler just wanted to make the team. Hayes just wanted to have the most battles canceled ever in an Outrider Cup.
I'm just happy to be here, guys.
So now again, as the winning team, you guys get a nice shiny foil card. I don't know what the graphics team. I don't know what Jared is doing.
We don't know either.
Yeah.
Where this is all
We
way
get
too
sweatshirts.
Did we even pick a color?
Purple.
Okay.
Purple. Okay.
We've managed to do one thing.
Well, I think we actually
they didn't ask anybody's sizes either. So hopefully it's not like Star Wars. You know, when you win a tournament back in the day, they gave you like a General Beers XL shirt. If they do that to me, I swear I'm going to wear it. You guys will just have to worry about my stomach sticking out the bottom of my hoodie the whole time if they don't let me pick the size.
Speaking of which, I was going to bring this up, Brian. I think I asked you this at one point. Are you going to cut off the sleeves for the hoodie?
Somebody asked me that too, and no, I will not be doing that.
Okay.
And the funny thing was, I can't remember who it was, but somebody was giving me crap for not wearing a sleeveless shirt at Atlanta the entire time we were there. And I was just like, I just never took my hoodie off. I was like, both days I had the cut off on under the hoodie the whole time. It's just, I don't know. It wasn't warm enough in the card play room to ever need it. In between games, since we had to go up the elevator, we had like 2 seconds to smoke. So I just never took it off.
That's fair. So I know you guys are going to Indianapolis. Like, what are you guys? Is there any like thing that how are you feeling? Like we talked about this a little bit before. Like, there's no really top deck. How are you guys feeling about Indy as the next major?
As Indy as a city?
Well, like, how are you feeling about the event?
Yeah,
is everybody staying after on Monday for the eclipse?
Well, I live in Indy.
My flight's at like 4:00 Monday, so I hope to see at least the beginning.
From the window.
How I'm feeling, I am dreading getting my paper cards in order But once I decide what I'm playing, I guess that will be manageable.
Yeah, I got to do that too.
Same.
Update some decks.
I just need to figure out what I'm playing. Like, I don't like anything right now.
I would say that since I've been
Especially
more
speeders.
active on GIMP than I have been in multiple years, which is funny because Hayes convinced me to play on GIMP, what, like 3 years ago or something? He said, you got to play on GIMP. It's a necessity. It's a lesser of evil. And then now Hayes is like totally bummed. This doesn't like play on GIMP, which I
He
spent
plays
the last
on GIMP plenty. Don't
Well,
let
I
him
mean,
fool you.
it's the necessary evil thing, which is what he was like alluding to me at. But I mean, I've actually probably enjoyed and it might be because I've done so well recently, but I've been enjoying playing on there a lot more. You know, you could play, I've played a handful of non-OCS games, just like the verified leagues with just like random decks. I was like, hey, that deck looks cool. You know, I'm going to try that again. Then you try it again, you're just like, oh, this isn't that great. And then,
But in general, you'd say going 12-0 was a fun experience for you.
yeah, I mean, I was already, you know, up in the swing of things. But yeah, I mean, when you go 12-0, I mean, but then again, the last time I played and made top 16, I went 12-0 the first month and qualified. Then the next month, I played like 3 games before I got tired of it, and then I never played again the rest of the season.
Well, you got to play just to get the foils.
Yeah, man.
I know you want to pimp out your decks as much as you can. You got to play all 12 games.
I have a guy that gets me foils for me from OCS, and I just give him real cards, and he's happy with that. So I get my foils, and I give him cards he actually needs to play.
That's fair.
Can I help you? Sorry, that cat was angry, or didn't care for what I had to say, or both.
I would just summarize everything we've said about the Outrider Cup, that it was a super fun event.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're all excited if we're able to make it to Worlds to see Team Europe. And
Oh, yeah.
The spirit of camaraderie between the two teams, I think, was felt by everyone, and it was just highly enjoyable to have some competitive but relaxed games of Star Wars.
100%.
So I'm assuming that if you guys are able to, you guys would participate in Outrider Cup 4.
I mean, God willing, yeah. I mean,
oh yeah, I don't know that I'll be playing as many events this year versus others, but we'll see. If I am able to make it, I will happily join the team.
Is anyone actually going to say no?
Yeah. Oh, I hope that I don't do well enough to be in the top 5 player of the year of the next 2 years of the American players.
I mean,
I hope I have a bad tournament season.
I mean, Tom pretty much said no, right? In a way.
Different circumstances.
B.
Yeah, of course, all of us are going to say we would want to play again. I mean, we were just spent the last 30 minutes telling you what a great experience it was. So,
I think it'd be like Hayes said, though. I think it'd be even funner if like there was like that Antarctica meet in the middle and be able to play in person sort of thing. That would like you could literally keep my hoodies and like everything, and like if people needed help with like travel to be able to like make it there, and we could just like figure like all that stuff out. It would just be. That would be an experience. I mean, not that this wasn't a great experience, but I mean, that's pretty much the only thing that could have made this kind of thing better, I think.
Iceland, Antarctica, what's the difference?
Did I say Antarctica?
I mean, you really don't want to go to Antarctica anytime soon.
Or ever.
Yeah. So
isn't that where Megatron got buried in the Transformer movie? Just go on, Dan. Just keep going.
No.
That was just keep.
Bring us home, Dan. Bring us home.
Bring us home.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it's like almost 10 o'clock on the East Coast out here. At this point, I think that's all we have. Again, I do want to thank you guys for coming on tonight. It has been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to have you guys on.
Had fun.
And I really wish the 3 other members of the team would have been able to come on. But again, that's unfortunately what life is right now.
Get them next week.
Well, no, we're not going to have the Holotheatre next week. Holotheatre's in 2 weeks.
What's next week?
Off. It's the doing it every
Welcome
other
to
week.
2024, Brian. Holotheatre is now in every other week instance.
OMG.
Hey.
Well, at least we know who the guests are in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's much more manageable.
Yeah. Make sure everybody tunes in 2 weeks when we have another episode of Holotheatre. Make sure everybody tunes in for the Jawa Cup.
No lore challenge?
Yeah, like what is this?
Come on.
What is this Gestapo-ness? Come on.
No
Come on,
Gestapo-ness?
lore challenge.
Okay.
And if you
okay, hold on.
if
hold
it's
on.
if it's Ortog again, like 2 times I was on the show and used
It's
the
gonna be
same
Space
one.
Slug. It's
It's
gonna
not
be
gonna be
Space Slug.
Space Slug.
Oh
Why
my
would
God.
it be Space Slug?
Because Kessling would immediately know what it was. He's like, "What is the underlying card for Matt's Castle Hidden Recess?" And Mike's like, "Space Slug?" And the dad's like, "No, Mike, I'm sorry, you're wrong." And Mike's like, "Says who? I've got 2 in my box that says it's Space Slug." Sorry.
Okay, hold on. Let me.
All right, I'm
Realize
pulling
we're
up the
just-
lore for
We're just
Wartime,
guessing
so I'm
Space
ready.
Slug at this point now.
Hold on.
Did we get Ryan Searson to help us too?
No,
Actually,
we're a team.
Actually,
you
I
guys
was gonna
are a
say
team.
I picked him the one time when I knew it was Akrev just to get him a free foil pack.
Yeah, you did do that, and that was really nice of you.
I never got my pack. I don't think.
You have gotten so many packs.
I don't know. We'll take Dan's word for it. Lore
Okay.
challenge.
Okay, give me 1 second. I do have to. I screwed up earlier.
He was trying. It was
was going to be Space Slug.
No, it's going to be Ortug again. Is what it was going to be. Or what is that guy for Shadow Collected? That Adam Grell bodyguard guy or whatever the heck the guy's name is that nobody plays. This and his underlying card is Ortug. Dan legit used that twice. One of them was for my show that once somebody else guessed for me and got it right. And then so the next time he did it, I was like, Dan, I was like, somebody pick me. It's Ortug.
Okay, so I know Mike, you're in the you're watching, and I don't know if B. Fred and Hayes are watching. However, your lore challenge for tonight, you'll have 45 seconds to guess what the card is.
But we get to pick it, what it is. There's stipulations. You get to
Yeah,
pick a
you
type
get to
or
pick the
something.
set or the type of card.
Okay.
Okay, and then what I'll do is, like I said, I'll read it.
Oh, do I need to go into the Twitch? Is that
You
what
don't
you're
have
saying?
no, you don't have to. I'm just going to put up the timer up really quick.
I can't see anything, so
I can't either. For some reason, it doesn't have. I forgot what my password was for Twitch. So I keep trying to type stuff in the chats and stuff. It's just like you're
Got
not
the
registered.
timer already
I'm like,
set. I got the card. I'm going to read the lore. After I read it, again, you guys will be able to guess the set. You guys will get either pick set or type. I will give you which one it is. And then you'll have 40 seconds to determine what the card is. Okay? Your lore challenge is: Imperial troopers are fearless and totally indoctrinated. Backed by the most powerful weapons and starships in the galaxy, they tend to consider themselves invincible. Would you like me to read it again?
Yes, please.
Okay. Imperial troopers are fearless and totally indoctrinated. Backed by the most powerful weapons and starships in the galaxy, they tend to consider themselves invincible.
okay. So before we pick one, I think we all have the same initial reaction, which is probably an entire legion of my best troops. Is that what you guys?
I
also
was thinking either that or like Dread Imperial Starfleet. Like I was going to ask for
like
set.
strategic reserves.
What are the
Yeah,
things we
I was
can
going to ask
eliminate?
for
Sorry.
set because I think we know it's going to be in effect.
What are the choices? What are the things
Set
we're allowed to select?
or type.
Yeah, I think we should select set.
I think we should select set because I think
Yes.
I actually have a Premier card in mind that I think.
Okay, let's hear the set.
It is set. The set is Premier. Your 45
I
seconds.
think it might be
now.
Imperial Reinforcements.
Done.
Agreed.
Is that your final answer?
Yes, we trust our O2 teammate.
I'm sorry, guys.
No.
No, not at all.
Ah,
And
sorry.
you know what? I'm going to say this, Mike. You and Brian Fred should know this.
Well, maybe we could have discussed for more
God,
than
I
1
know
second.
what it is already.
I don't.
Freaking Trooper Charge.
Yep,
'Cause it's
100%.
Outrider. Gosh darn it. God, I'm so mad.
Oh, well,
I'm
to be
so
fair, maybe we
mad.
could have talked about it for 1 second and said.
Yeah, you guys could have talked about it. You had 45 seconds.
Nope.
But if Dan wouldn't have said that, though, would we have come to the conclusion of Trooper Charge?
I don't know. I think you and I probably should have
because
gotten
one
there.
of my initial thoughts was Imperial Reinforcements also.
I know.
Freaking
Well,
Dan.
I think we should have talked ourselves into that, but I I think that Hayes got excited that I said I thought it was a Premiere card, and then Dan was like, "It is from Premiere." So Hayes was just inclined to go with whatever I thought it was.
Freaking Trooper Charge.
Hey, I had to.
For those that don't understand why Dan would have selected that, that's because Dan brought his trade binder
full of
to
amazingly
Seattle,
good cards,
which had space slugs, maneuver checks, and the not even rare Trooper Charge, just in case you ever needed to pick one up. Oh, here,
just in case you ever wanted to. Oh, is this the binder that still has a Trooper Charge in it that he's about to show us?
The Trooper Charge is not in here, but the Space Slugs are.
Got traded, obviously.
Space Slugs are like ultra rare, dude. And I think the only thing I can realize is why they might be ultra rare because some people use them as backing cards for every single card they own. Mike probably has like 50 life-size Space Slugs, and they're all just random backers for cards.
Yeah.
That's why I made a joke. I made a joke with somebody when they were like, "Why do they make this rare card, the backing card for such and such?" I'm just like, maybe they just make life-size Space Slug a universal card that you could use for the backing of any card.
Watch the price skyrocket, just like Bezos.
It would skyrocket. I've actually hoarded like 80 Space Slugs.
I got like 3 I could sell you.
Yeah.
$50 a pop.
Only if I get a free Trooper Charge with it.
Done. $50 for a Space Slug.
$50 for one?
No, for all 3.
I was gonna go 60. I don't know why you only started with 50.
Dan, I'll say thank you for conjuring up the lore challenge and for correctly
blowing us out.
That we should have thought through and gotten to. So that's on us.
That was a huge blowout. I'm very impressed by Dan.
That is probably going to be the highlight of my year, I'll be honest, when it comes to Star Wars.
So Dan's going to win Holotheatre.
He's peaked. It's February 22nd. There's nowhere to go but down for 10 straight months.
Pretty much,
yeah. With that, we should probably that's all we needed to do, guys. We've done it.
That's all. I mean, on that bombshell, yeah, that's all we got. Everybody, take care, enjoy yourselves, and may the Force be with you. Good night, everybody.